Hello everybody. Today we're going to be setting some new buildings out on the Garden Railroad. So we have 3 new buildings fresh off of the modeling table here. All 3 of these models are from PIKO, bought on onlytrains.com. First we have the Daily Grind Coffee House, and this cost $107.99. Next we have the Post Office. This is $83.99. And then the Gazebo, which was $114.39. So the Daily Grind Coffee House, this was one of PIKO's quick kits. It took about 5 minutes to put together. A lot of the details were already pre-assembled, like the windows, the signage, and the trim. And then really you just put the 4 walls together. The only glued part was the chimney, which came in 3 parts, 2 halves of the pipe, and then the base that the chimney sits on. You glue those together and glue it to the roof. The model is held together by this kind of tab and pin configuration here. So you line up the walls, the tabs overlap. There's a tab on each wall. They overlap and you put a pin through. You do that to all 4 walls and also the roof, and it locks the whole model together. This model can be disassembled at the end of the season. If storage is an issue for you in the wintertime here in the Northeast, we'll take down and put the buildings in the basement for the winter, so storage can be important. The Post Office, that is the same style of building you can see because it comes from the Pleasant Town series from PIKO, but the Post Office was actually a full build. So we had to put the signage on, the trim, the window frames, the glass, all that stuff. So that was more of a full build, but it only took about an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half. And this also utilizes that pin and tab construction there. And the Post Office also came with this little mailbox accessory, which is pretty cool. The Gazebo, this was also a full build. So this, we had to build this from the ground up and take the roof off here. You don't want to glue the roof on, otherwise you'll have a hard time probably setting your staging inside the Gazebo. It came with a handful of these pots that you can set around the Gazebo. The picture had them kind of outside these balusters here. It was supposed to come with some flowering shrubs that could fit in those pots, but our kit didn't come with that, so we'll have to pick those up later. Not a big deal. On the inside, you have the benches that came with the kit, so 5 benches, you put those together. We glued ours in because we really don't like, small items like tipping over and things that have to, constantly be reset when the building is outside from like wind and rain and things like that. But when we set that out, we'll set some people on there and make a nice little scene there. The Daily Grind Coffee House and the Post Office are 5 1/4 by 8 inches. And the Gazebo is 10 inches by 10 inches. So anyway, let's go out and set these new buildings on the Garden Railway. Okay, so we have our buildings out by the Garden Railroad, but before we get to setting them in the railroad, I want to talk about bases a little bit. So we use cement block for bases for our buildings, rather than setting them on the crushed stone. Now, some of the buildings actually come with a base. We have 2 Polar buildings that come with their own base. Evan, why don't you walk over here? If you look at the bare end came with a plastic base, like a patio that you can see here, but we still set it on a cement base anyway. So that's an example of a building that came with a base. But if you notice here, the beer garden, the Grizzly Flat Station, and some of the other buildings, they don't have a base of their own, so we set those on cement block. It's and you can buy bases from PIKO and Pola. But I find that they're quite expensive. You can get 2 plastic bases for PIKO buildings, and they're about $89. I can go into Home Depot and get, a 12 by 12 block or whatever for just a couple bucks. So again, what we're going to do is we'll set the PIKO buildings on their own cement block, and we'll set the Gazebo on a cement block, but this cement block is going to have some artificial turf with some construction adhesive to fasten it to the block. That way it'll stay nice and flat. The grass won't curl up or anything. And when we put the Gazebo on it, it'll hopefully give a nice impression of like a town common, you know, a grassy town common for a setting. So anyway, let's get to setting our buildings. Does that look okay from the front?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so there we go. We've got our 3 new buildings set in the railroad. We got the post office, the Daily Grind Coffee House, and the Gazebo.